Okay, if you're learning Spanish, you have absolutely hit the to-be wall. You know the one where ser, estar, and a whole bunch of other verbs all seem to mean the exact same thing. It is so confusing, but you know what? There's a really simple mindset shift that can make it all just click. So let's break it down.
Right? This is the question that trips up pretty much every English speaker. In English, it's easy. Is, am, are, it's all just the verb to be. But then you get to Spanish and suddenly you're juggling ser, estar, hey, hacer. It feels like total overkill. Why can't it just be simple? Well, the secret isn't about memorizing a million rules. It's about changing how you think entirely.
And this is it. This is the whole key. You have to stop trying to translate the word is. Seriously, just stop. Instead, I want you to think of each of these Spanish verbs as a different tool that has a very specific job. Once you know what each tool is for, you'll instinctively know which one to grab. It's not about what the word is, it's all about what the word does. So let's start with the most famous, and probably the most confusing pair, ser and estar. Their jobs can seem really similar, but they are fundamentally different. One's job is to define the permanent, core identity of something, while the other's job is to describe its current, temporary state.
Here's a great way to think about it. Think of ser as your ID card. It states the fundamental, more or less unchanging things about you. Your name, where you're from, your profession. It defines what you are. Estar, on the other hand, is like your social media status update. It tells people how you are right now, where you are, your mood, a temporary condition. It's changeable. ID card versus status update.
So what's on ser's resume? Its job is to state those core truths. Yo soy Julián, that's my identity. Soy de México, that's my origin. Todas las mujeres son médicas, that's their profession. And su casa es grande, his house is large, that's an essential characteristic. See, it's all stuff you'd find on that metaphorical ID card. And now for estar's job, the status update. Now you might think a city's location is permanent, but in Spanish, location is always considered a state, so we say Valparaíso está en Chile. A broken VCR? That's definitely a temporary condition. You're hoping to fix it, so it's está descompuesto. And emotions, like being in love, are states of being, not permanent parts of who you are. So you'd say, estoy enamorado.
Okay, now this is where it gets really interesting. The verb you pick can completely change the meaning of the exact same word. For example, if you say someone es aburrido, you're saying they are a boring person, like that's part of their identity. But if you say they están aburridos, you're just saying they're bored right now. It's a temporary condition. Same with listo. Ser listo means you're clever, while estar listo means you're ready. This is so much more than a grammar rule. It's a completely different message.
All right, now that we've got identity versus condition down, let's tackle another classic mix-up, hey versus está. The jobs here are also super distinct once you see them. One is about existence itself. Does this thing even exist? The other is about the specific location of something you already know is out there. So here's the breakdown. Hey is the verb of existence. You use it to ask if something exists at all. Is there a bank? Is there an airport? Notice we're using a or an. Está, on the other hand, is the verb of specific location. Once you know that yes, the thing exists, you use está to ask where the specific thing is. Where is the bank? Let's walk through how this plays out in the real world. Imagine you're new in town. First, you just need to know if a park even exists in this area. So you ask, ¿Hay un parque por aquí? You're using I to ask about the existence of a park, any park at all. Someone says yes, great, now you know one exists. Your next question is, ¿Dónde está el parque? You switch to está because you're now asking for the location of the specific park. See that? Existence, then location. It's a really logical two-step process. All right, for our final category, let's talk about something we all talk about, the weather. This is where Spanish brings in a special group of tools called impersonal verbs. And they're impersonal because they describe things that happen without a specific subject doing them. I mean, think about it. Who or what is actually doing the raining?
An impersonal verb is just a verb without a clear who did it. In English, we feel like we have to insert a placeholder, what linguists call a dummy subject. We say, it rains. But Spanish is often more direct. It just lets the verb describe the condition all on its own.
Okay, so the main verb for the weather job is hacer. Now, you probably know its literal meaning is to do or to make, which sounds pretty weird here. But remember, we're not translating, we're thinking in jobs. The way to think about it is that the atmosphere is making a condition. Hace frío, it's making cold. Hace calor. It's making heat. This is your go-to verb for the general vibe of the weather. But hacer doesn't do all the work alone. I and estar also have jobs when it comes to the weather. I, our friend the verb of existence, is used for specific weather events, things that are nouns. Hay niebla, there is fog. Hay tormenta, there is a storm. And estar, our verb of condition, is used for ongoing states described by adjectives. Está nublado, it is cloudy. You see that beautiful pattern? Nouns get I and adjectives get estar. So we've looked at the specific jobs of ser, estar, hay, and hacer. The last step, and honestly the most important one, is to really get this new way of thinking into your head. It's about letting go of those English rules that are so hardwired in our brains and just embracing a new system. I love this quote from another language learner on Reddit because it just nails it. Instead of fighting the language and asking, but why isn't it like English? You just have to accept it. Think, okay, cool, this is the tool they use for this job. I get it. You have to accept the logic of the language on its own terms. So if you take away only one single thing from all this, please let it be this. This is the most powerful shift you can possibly make. The next time you're about to speak, don't ask, how do I translate is? Instead, ask yourself, what's the job that needs to be done here? Am I defining an identity, describing a temporary state, pointing out existence, or am I talking about the weather? Then you'll know exactly which tool to choose. So I'll leave you with this question to think about. Every language has its own beautiful, and sometimes, kind of bizarre logic. What's a rule you've learned in another language that made you just stop and go, I never would have thought of doing it that way? Let us know. Thanks for tuning in.